Abyssinia and the Ethiopian Empire, the ancient history of a struggling nation. Written by Alexa Vuchkovich. Narrated by D.W. Draffin. The Horn of Africa is a region with a unique identity and vibrant history. Close to the Arabian Peninsula, it always stood out from the rest of the African continent. Today, the Horn of Africa is home to the modern nations of Ethiopia, Djibouti, Eritrea, and Somalia, comprising some 115 million people. Throughout centuries of rich history, Ethiopia has managed to persevere and preserve its identity, despite many pressures. Once known as the Ethiopian Empire, or Abyssinia, which existed from 1270 to 1974, it is one of the longest surviving empires in history and is defined by its distinctive character and a past filled with defining moments. Today we'll be stepping back in time as we recount the ancient and modern ages of the venerable Ethiopian Empire. Ancient origins of the Ethiopian Empire. The rise of Aksum. The earliest origins of the Ethiopian Empire reach back before 1270. The story begins with the kingdom of Aksum, also known as the Aksumite Empire, an ancient kingdom of great import in the classical world. Aksum was located in today's northern Ethiopia and flourished from about 80 BCE to 825 CE. Taking its name from its key city, the capital called Aksum, its strategic location played a crucial role in the trading routes of the ancient world, particularly between ancient India and the Roman Empire. In time, Aksum grew in power and importance, and eclipsed the neighboring and older kingdom of Kush. The importance of Aksum was well portrayed by the famous Persian prophet Mani, who said, "There are 4 great kingdoms on earth. The first is the kingdom of Babylon and Persia, the second is the kingdom of Rome, the third is the kingdom of the Aksumites, the fourth is the kingdom of the Chinese." To the Greeks and the Romans, the kingdom of Aksum was well known, as it was to the Arabs and the Persians as well. Aksum ascended to great heights thanks almost exclusively to trade. Commerce was the key factor that helped Aksum evolve to become the capital of an empire. This can safely be ascribed to its proximity to the Red Sea and its trade routes, since all it had to do was successfully facilitate the growing need of the Greeks and the Romans for African goods. A major export of Aksum was elephant ivory, which was a highly sought-after commodity in the Mediterranean, Levant, and Persia. Aksumite traders established far-reaching caravans that would travel into the African interior in order to procure more ivory. As Aksum was located at key crossroads for trade traffic, it only sped up its prosperity. In time, Aksum became the hotbed for a rising civilization with a unique character, fed by a proper amalgam of indigenous African cultures infused with South Arabian character, as well as plenty of influences from the classical world of the Mediterranean. A crucial trading power rises. The name Ethiopia, to describe the Aksumite Empire, appears as early as the 4th century, and one popular explanation for the name is that it comes from Greek, Ethiopia. This is a compound word that, roughly translated, means burnt face or red-brown. This term was used early on by Herodotus to denote this particular region of Africa. This Greek word was later loaned to the Amharic language of the region as Ethiopia. More precisely, the name Ethiopia was used in Greco-Roman inscriptions for a long time, and denoted specifically the region of ancient Nubia. However, in the 15th century Ethiopian church book known as the Book of Aksum, it is stated that the name stems from a legendary biblical figure known as Ithiopis, a son of Cush. It was Ithiopis who allegedly founded the city of Aksum. Ethiopia was also known as Abyssinia in English historiography and elsewhere. This term stems from the Ethiopian Ge'ez language and their pronunciation of Ethiopia, Habashat. The people of the Aksumite Empire began using the designation Ethiopians only around the 4th century CE, when the Aksumite king Ezana conquered Nubia. Around this time, the Aksumites also came in contact with Christianity. This occurred with the arrival of the two brothers and Christian missionaries, Frumentius and Edesius, who managed to enter the royal Aksumite court and convert it to Christianity. Ethiopia, Aksum, was thus the second country to officially adopt Christianity in world history. The first one was Armenia in 301 CE. Aksum began to enter a gradual decline in the 6th and 7th centuries CE due to religious rivalry, Jewish persecution of the Christians, and the rise of Islam. Around this time, the use of the name Ethiopia becomes prevalent. Struggling between religions. The end of the Aksumite Empire. One of the first acts in the empire's fall came in 520, when King Caleb led a campaign against the Jewish Himyaritic king Du-Nuwas, who was persecuting Christians in Yemen. Although the Aksumite forces won the conflict and secured Christianity in Yemen, at least until the advent of Islam, the years of battle overextended Aksum's wealth and manpower. Its position as an economic and trading power was diminished, but it still remained active to an extent. As the first major Islamic power, the Rashidun Caliphate rose to prominence and conquered Egypt and the Red Sea around 646 CE. Aksum became economically isolated, but even so, it remained firmly Christian. Oral history holds the Aksumite Empire was eventually defeated by the Hebrew queen Yodit, also known as Gudit or Judith, around the early 900s CE. This defeat brought the end to the centuries-old Aksumite kingdom and all its rich history. During her 40-year reign of Aksum, Yodit conducted numerous pogroms against the Christian populace, burning churches, crucifying people, and forcefully converting the citizens, all as part of her campaign to terminate Christianity, in an apparent act of revenge. During this period, a great deal of Aksumite heritage is said to have been destroyed. Yodit's reign ended around 960, when she and her successors were overthrown by an Aga lord called Mara Takla Haimanat. The Agas were a Cushitic ethnic group of the region. This lord married the female descendant of the last Aksumite monarchs,